Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to podcast 17, season 2 of the Blue Collar Workers. I am, as always, John, Sean, or Yaka.
And I'm Chris.
And it's smashing to have you, as always. You know
Before we carry on, may I just suggest I'm always the one in colour because this kit don't own any.
I don't like colourful clothing. It's black or grey, and the grey tends to be faded black, as Chris would quite often say. But before he interrupted, I was about to say, this is your voice, your nation, and we are here today to give you our take on the week's politics. Farage is to give up Reform's Manifesto pledge for 90 billions worth of tax cuts that he promised in the last year's manifesto and coming into this manifesto for the next election. He's giving that up entirely. Tommy Robinson refuses to give the phone pin to protect journalistic material as he's been arrested on anti-terrorism charges. Most of Great Britain's major rail operators are back in the public hands. That's a damn good thing, in my opinion. And here's what you need to know about the Stammer's illiberal protest curbs that would have killed Labour Party at its birth all those centuries ago. Over at Chris.
Over on my side, this budget is a make or break situation, but for whom? Yeah, Reeves boosting the wrong economy.
My boy here's got an axe to grind against Reeves. He really doesn't like her policies.
Digital ID shows more cracks, people. Come on, keep those cracks coming in and it will collapse.
It's not going to pass vote. This is one of the reasons why I've left Chris with this side, because I don't think the Labour MPs are going to be that suicidal to vote such an authoritarian bill through with the British public barely able to swallow the anti-protest laws that have already been given to us.
Latest on the Chinese spy trial, that's collapsed. And unemployment grows beyond COVID figures.
Holy fuck. Wow. You confirm that?
It's already been stated by several people. It's just a shame of who broke the news.
Jesus Christ, that's horrifying.
Seems we're on that. We'll start on that just to get the blood pumping because of the fact who reported it as well, which is what's going to boil most people's blood, and it's just going to stick it to Labour even more. So.
Fucking GBN News.
Yeah.
Shit stains.
Reported by the Daily Express. So, yeah. GB News halted for breaking news announcement in humiliating blow for Labour. So the people they're scared of have literally just give them a gut punch, which I find absolutely hilarious. GBM News host Eamon Holmes was joined by his co-presenter Ellie Costello as the show was briefly paused for a breaking report. In the last few minutes, it was announced that unemployment rate has risen in the last 3 months. In the spring statement, Chancellor Rachel Reeves announced a series of measures to cut welfare bill by making it more difficult for people to claim certain benefits. The hope was to get Britain working by incentivizing some of those not working to rejoin the labour force. About a quarter of the working population aged between 16 to 64 do not currently have a job. During Tuesday's edition of the Breakfast Show, Eamon, 65, shared an update with the viewers. He began news just in. Unemployment was 4.7 last year and has rose to 4.8% in 3 months to August. It was 4.7 in 3 months up to July, so not much change there, but still a high figure.
Highest level since June 2021. Yep.
Still a high figure.
Let's stop there. No, GBN News is correct. Those are people coming up to the retirement, see, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not the rise that the GBN News and the right wing want to make it out to be. This increase is a stopgap from people stepping out of the working environment with only a few years left.
But it just said a quarter of those aged between 16 and 64.
Yeah, no, that's the total quarter. Mm-hmm. Not the quarter of the increase. The increase is based upon people who are about to retire.
Lost my place now. The presenters were joined by the deputy editor of the spiked online Farage Mars, who reacted to the breaking news announcement. He commented, "It's a high figure, and also it is worth remembering that doesn't capture the full scale of unemployment. The amount of people who are fit, who are young, who are of working population,
This is still only 1.8 million people
languishing on benefits. Many of those are not captured in the unemployment figures if they are claiming personal independence of PIP." So the amount of unemployment is higher than what they currently stay in.
Yes, absolutely. And I've just got the article specifically from the statistics, number of people unemployed in the UK from 22,000 to 2025. And as Chris does, he brings the news, I pull out the statistics. Mm-hmm. The important factor of this recent increase is that they are people about to retire. That's an important factor that the statistics make very clear. And that's from Statista, the online website. And it says very clearly that of that increase of 4%, 0.4%, not 4%, my apologies. 4% would be a massive fucking unemployment growth. Jesus Christ. No, 0.4% increase are people semi-working who are looking to retire. Of that total of 1.8 million, a quarter of them are of fit, healthy, and working age. Yes. And yes, that's a problem. Yes, that's one, but it's not as diabolical as GBN News are probably trying to make it out to be.
Fraser added, and this is one of the key challenges that this government and the future governments are going to be having to get people who really should be in work. Bear in mind that obviously factors pointing out was regarding to obviously what they said about the older generation stepping out of retirement, but this does include people aged 16 to 64. So it's not just one part, it's all parts. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Those people who have low-level mental health problems like anxiety and depression, those types of people need to be working. Before people start kicking off about it, hear the entire statement first, please. It is good for them and good for the country to get them back into work,
even if it was part-time.
Yeah,
we could get them a couple of days a week. You know what I'm saying, Chris? Like a weekend job. They could do a calf job.
That's a call, filling in the gap of the retirees.
Yeah. They could come in, do a couple of self-study. It would restore their self-esteem. It would give them 2 days a week. There are programs in the job centre system that allows them to do this.
It's good for them and good for the country. Yeah. Getting back to work, 4.7% is too high, and it is on terms, and in its own terms, does not capture the full scale of the problem we have. Unemployment has reached a 4-year high as the UK economy continues to struggle. Unemployment, the jobless rate reached 4.8 in 3 months to August. Fresh figures show the highest since between March to May 2021, when the nation was in the midst of the COVID lockdown. Yeah. So that is quite concerning that we're reaching that level.
I think the more important, significant thing that I'm more worried about is there is a significant amount of businesses, small to medium businesses, that are thinking of laying off staff because of the tax increases.
Oh, we'll be getting to that, don't worry.
Because as I'm watching this statistic, it's manageable, yeah? 1.8 million people unemployed is manageable. It's going to get worse because of Stemmer's fucking a new tax system.
That's the first point here. The last point is the one that I had on last minute because I found it last minute. But I thought there's something to bring up. We're going to yours now.
Yeah. I'm looking at the statistics here. There is a problem with our unemployment. Let's not debate that. Yes, we need to get the low-level mental unhealthy people who have anxiety, panic attacks, in part-time work. We need to do this gently. Part-time work, get their confidence built up, get them back into the working environment.
The right route.
Yeah, the right route, definitely. Let's be quite frank about this. Nigel Farage is not the person to gently lift the damaged youth into work. He is a club, a thug at best when it comes towards politics. He does in shock and awe what people shouldn't do, and that will lead towards poverty, fright, problems, protests, criminalisation. These are the things we need to avoid. We do not need 1.8 million Britons turning criminal. All right? and people like Nigel Farage will turn them criminal. We need to gently lift them into part-time work and then lift them up into full-time work.
Unless he actually manages to get someone on his side which actually understands that and slaps him.
The problem being is I don't think none of the people his operantus doesn't draw those kind of people, Chris. Caring about society is not something that Nigel's party does. Their ego.
The top part of that party does.
Mm.
If he gets one that's from the working class, which he wants to help in with him.
Nah, I think he talks a big talk when it comes to working class. Anyway, to my point, Farage to give up Reform Manifesto pledge for 90 billion in tax cuts. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage will promise not to reduce tax before cutting spending and making savings in the civil service at a major speech next month. Reduced taxes for working people, declared Reform UK at the party, pledged 90 billion in tax cuts ahead of last year's general election when it was won 14% of the vote and 5 seats in Parliament. The party's Our Contract with You, which featured the word tax on 58 of the occasions across 26-page manifesto, said it would increase the income tax personal allowance to 20,000, as in we pay less tax until we get to 20 grand, whilst reducing the threshold for paying a higher rate tax to 70,000. The party also pledged to scrap inheritance tax on an estimated estates under 2 million. But after the Institution of Physical Finances questioned the realism of the tax plans, and open and opinion polls now suggest a lack of voters' trust on its fiscal responsibility, party bosses appear to rethink early plans. The man is a lying bastard, and there is no question about that. After the Deputy Leader, Richard Tick, told the BBC in September that the manifesto was not appropriate for the next election, Leader Nigel Farage will look to go a step further by saying he will break his 2024 policy to make 90 billions in cuts. According to the Times, Mr Farage will say that the party will not reduce taxes before making cuts to spending, the civil service and implementing a ban on borrowing to fund government expenditures is his first major speech on the economy next month. Party sources told the newspaper that new policies will focus on cuts to fuel duty, income, corporation and inheritance tax. The things the very rich want. They don't help me and you. Let's be fair about this. Fuel duty helps fleet cars, fleet movement vehicles. Yeah? Income the tax, very, very small amount of that will affect us. Corporate inheritance tax does not affect 95% of the British people. Party sources told the newspaper that new policies, Reform will never borrow to spend, as Labour and the Tories have done. He can't keep that promise. He can't keep that promise. He's going to have to borrow to fix some of the problems that he's going to suffer through government. It's how you borrow against the pound as a reserve currency and how you pay off Britain's debts. You cannot do this unless you fix the British tax system. Me and Chris have harped on about this non-stop. You cannot solve Britain's insolvable problems under this current economical system. You must reform the fucking tax system. Lock, stock and smoking barrels. There are too many outlets for too many billionaires, for too many billionaire companies. Money running out of this country like it's water. He said
running into the government to fix our shit.
Exactly. He said the policy to increase the tax-free personal allowance to 20,000, estimated to cost between 50 to 80 billion, was now a goal we should aspire for. Do you understand, Britain? He has lied to you to get your vote, to get his foot on the ladder, to get his 5 MPs and his 14%. And in exchange for that, he's now double backing on it because he knows he can't afford it. He knew he couldn't afford it when he made the promises the first time. Without a comprehensive reform of the entire tax system, you cannot fix Britain's multilateral problems. It's like, since podcast fucking 3, me and you have been talking about this. We're at podcast 17, season 2, and we're still talking about the fucking danger to our tax system. Britain.
It's the only sensible solution.
The only way you fix this country's financial problems is fix the fucking tax system so that billionaires don't get handshakes and watered down tax results. That is the problem. You have to do the hard, heavy lifting to fix the Britain's problems. Mr Farage was speaking as he visited Wales to support Lynn Powell, who is the Reform candidate in the Carrowplay by-election. The contest, which comes as a result of the sudden death of Labour's MS Heffer-David in August, marks an opportunity for Reform to begin its campaign ahead of the country's Senate elections next year. It is also a chance for the party to respond to the criticism facing during Labour and Conservative Party conferences, where the Tory Shadow Chancellor Mel Strider said Reform's manifesto promises tens of billions of pounds in unfunded commitments. And it does. But again, he lies. He constantly lies. He shifts the goalpost because he just wants to get to 10 Downing Street. Mr Strider told delegates, be assured of this, that when the glitter, the shimmer of the sequenced dress, the razzle-a-dazz, the spin plates, the fireworks have faded, you will be left with emptiness. He's absolutely right. Because Farage will not reform the system. Even though his party's called reform, it will not reform the tax system. According to the Times...
Reform it back to the Conservative way.
Oh, absolutely. No, worse than the Conservatives. Far worse.
Right.
According to the Times, some opinion polls suggest that the Tories lead reform when voters were asked which party they trust on the economy. In 2024 Manifesto, Reform implied that tax cuts would be partly funded by a slash of wasteful government spending, which would save 50 billion per year. A cut in foreign aid by 50%, which would save a further 6 billion. In an assessment of the plans, the IFS said, what Reform Manifesto gives a clear sense of priorities, the government could only implement part of this package or would need to find other ways to help pay for it, which would mean losses not specified. But as reported by the Times, Reform will now look to firm up its economical credibility. You don't have one. With plans to reduce spending, with a ban on welfare payments to most migrants. Migrants don't claim benefits.
No, we just give them to them for free.
They have an allowance. It's not a benefit. And it's not as high as you think it is. We spend more on on giving out tax rebates to fucking corporations than we do anything else.
Yeah, but if we were able to give a relief to the illegal migrants coming in, why is that not sent to the people that need it at home?
If we're going to talk about dealing with the tax fucking give-outs, Chris, let's stop giving corporations favourable tax ratings.
Oh no, I'll kill them straight off and turn around.
Because that'll save you billions. And then we can take care of the people. A couple of 100,000 migrants, yes, that is an exasperator of our problems. But we have housing, schools. The problems are multilateral. They're not just illegal migrants who are given a stipend because we're required legally to make sure they don't starve. That's an anti-starvation stipend, Chris. It's not a benefit where they can sit at home and do
something which people are not happy with. And
yeah, no, of course.
Elections is to do that.
Of course. But I don't think that that's the problem we should be doing. We should stop corporations being given fucking huge tax brackets. The tax giveaways we give to corporations are worth hundreds of fucking billions in this country. Mr Farage told the Times that the 2024 document proposed reductions in civil service spending, but we will increase those cuts. We will cut overall spending, introduce an industrial policy, and drive a cultural shift in attention towards work and success. Whilst no shadow chancellor has yet been named by the party, he added, we will be launching between now and the budget a new campaign, an economical campaign. It's going to be very impactful. No, it's not. Because it's going to be full of lies and holes, which is Nigel Farage's opinion. The man cannot be trusted on the economy. He's renowned for being untrustworthy in the economy.
Full of hot air. He's a balloon. And willing to pop his own balloon to get further up the ladder.
Absolutely. And he's not going to fix these problems, Britain. He's genuinely not going to fix these problems. He's probably going to make them worse. And he's going to exasperate the social problems here in the UK. What you need is to dissolve the Greenbelt. What you need is to build new towns, cities. We live on 8% of our land. Me and Chris have said this to ad fucking nauseum. You need to fix the tax, point one. Point two, yes, you need to tell Europe we're not taking any more fucking illegal migrants. And you need, if you need be, you threaten France with mining the fucking channel. And I know that's going to be extreme, but you don't do it, but you threaten it. You use it as a stick. You say, look, deal with your fucking migrants or no one's using the channel. And I promise you, France does not want to lose the hundreds of billions of euros of its trade coming out of fucking the channel. So they'll deal with it, yeah? Europe will have to deal with it because Britain has the means to shut the channel. We literally have the means. Largest navy in Europe. Unquestionably, we can shut the channel if we want to. Yes, it would hurt us. But it will hurt fucking France and Europe a hell of a lot more. And you use it as a stick. You say, Europe, you will deal with your fucking goddamn migrant problem that is not Britain's problem.
I think they're starting to with the new system they're bringing in.
Yeah, because they need to. Because the rest of the European Union is pissed off with scrutinage as it is.
Mm-hmm.
The scrutinage system is failing horrifically. But no, Nigel Farage has no accountability when it comes to economical planning because the man has enormous holes. Oh, it's a new party. No, it's not. If you're a politician, you need to get the mathematics done first. Yeah? There's a reason why, hypothetically, me and Chris became politicians. I wouldn't be allowed to look at the fucking money. Because I'd go, oh, those people need help. Grab the purse. Chris smacks my hand. Make sure I can afford it first. You can.
I would have a 10-year plan worked out before you even touch the purse. So.
You see what I'm saying? And every government needs a pot of cash for emergencies.
And you would hate me for it. So the fact I would turn around and go, no, sorry,
illegal
migration, fuck off. And immediately shut the borders.
You can't, for legal reasons, we can't. Do you understand what I'm saying? We can't.
Oh, I'd find a loophole, personally. You know I would.
The Tories have been trying for years.
Oh, I would find a loophole a lot faster than the fucking Tories.
But the reality is, you need to sit down and actually hold adult conversations. You remember, we left a lot of treaties with Europe. Before Brexit, migration was a problem, but not a massive problem.
You know what you said about obviously threatening France for shutting down the channel? Yeah. I turn and go, embassies going in all your countries, you deny that channel's been fucking shut off and there'll be no immigration coming in. It'll benefit me a lot more than it'll benefit you. Straight off, no condition, bang, done. I can guarantee.
Migration centres, immigration centres is what he's talking about, which we had. We had them prior to the Brexit.
Because then it eliminates the illegal migration and then brings in the legal migration.
Chris, we're never going to eliminate illegal migration, but we need to get it down to a manageable level of a couple of thousand, let's say, a year.
You don't want to know I'll be pushing for 0.
Yeah, of course. Every fucking politician wants to say they can do that. We used to have illegal migration where it was only a few thousand every year because there was a legal migration route for people to go through and wasn't as big a business as it is now. And we need to start coming after these smugglers because customer doesn't. And
we need to start actually monitoring
and attacking the banks that allow them to bank. Punish bankers who are acting no questions asked where these smugglers are putting their money. That's an important factor.
And who they're bringing over, because at the moment, it's all males.
No, Chris, don't buy into right-wing politics. Please, for the love of God.
By what they're showing you at the moment.
The statistics are that the current boat people are Vietnamese families, women and children. They're talking about boat people that were 6-8 months ago, Chris.
Sounds about right.
Okay, that's the problem. The boat people that are coming over today, as in within the last month, as said by our border force, are Vietnamese women and children.
So my women and children, it's the males I have an issue.
Yeah, of course. Fighting age males. I know where you're coming from that argument. And it's bollocks because it represents a very small matter because every so often we get a different influx. There's a first influx of people coming over that are like, they're men waiting to bring their women and children over. Because that's a Muslim thing. Men do the dangerous things and then fly their families in. So that there is a Muslim reason behind that. A man does a dangerous journey. Like you're the Muslim man. You travel to a safe country. You get residency. You earn living. You pay the laws. You pay your taxes. Then you bring your wife and children home in for safety. Because obviously the countries they're coming from are falling a fucking part because we keep selling bombs to the fucking warlords and arming shit stains like Israel.
Oh, they're different.
Yeah, they are a key factor. If you want to question about how to stop illegal immigration, stop it stone cold dead. Stop arming Israel. Stop arming Israel. Europe puts an embargo on Israel.
I don't think it's just Israel, though, unfortunately.
No. Christopher, they represent 40% of all migration coming to Europe. Israel's interventionism represents 40%. You could kill 40% of the migration by stopping Israel bombing every fucking country around them. There are 5-6 countries around Israel. They represent 40% of the migrations coming to Europe. One country embargoed and you solve 40% of migration problems. There's an Iron Chancellor.
Embargo the other dicks.
But by taking that action, you are setting yourself up to oppose America. And that's why most of Europeans don't do it.
Oh, well.
You need willingness to put your foot on the hand, hold your nuclear weapons in your hand and say to America, no more. No fucking more. We will not tolerate this anymore. Anyway, that's my point one. Your point two, sir.
Budget. Is it a make or break situation?
Well,
For whom?
well,
The budget is a make or break. Chancellor warns. Yes, okay, Chancellor. Fucking, no.
he really doesn't like Rachel Reeves.
How do we improve the situation? Oh, more tax. More tax. And more tax. I break every single promise. Here's more tax. Have more tax. I'm like, fuck off. Fucking tax dodging bastards. The British Chamber of Commerce, BCC, urged the Chancellor, who is widely expected to announce tax hikes in November's budget, to fill a gap in public finances to steer clear of the increasing levies on businesses. Ms. Reeves raised the taxes by 40 billion last year, and the BCC said businesses' confidence had not recovered since. I don't know fucking why. Last year's budget took the wind from their sails, and they have been struggling to find momentum ever since. The BCC Director General Shavin Haviland said,
UG Director Shavian Haviland.
She said, firms felt drained and cannot plan ahead as they expect further tax demands to be laid at their feet when the budget is delivered on 26th of November. The Chancellor must seize the moment and use the budget to deliver a pro-growth agenda that can restore optimism and belief amongst business leaders, as Haviland added. This year's budget will be a make or break for many firms. BCC has also called for a reform of business rates and the removal of the windfall tax on gas and oil introduced by the last government. In its submission, the industry body outlined more than 60 recommendations, including the proposal of further infrastructure investments, cuts to custom barriers, and action on skilled shortages. Earlier this year, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, dickhead, announced Labour would aim to approve 150 major infrastructure projects by the next election, with Labour already pledged to support expansions on both Heathrow and Gatwick airports, another of the BCC's request. While the Treasury would not comment on the budget speculation, a spokesperson insisted Ms. Reeves would strike the right balance between ensuring funding for public services and securing economic growth. She has vowed to stick to Labour's manifesto pledges not to raise taxes on the working people. Yeah, so where the fuck are you getting the rest of the money for? Oh, no, because you already done it. That's why. BCC's plea to halt further tax rises on businesses comes as retail sales growth slowed in September. With the budget looming large and households facing higher bills, retail spending rose more slowly than in recent months. Helen Dickinson, chief executive of the British Retail Consortium, said raising inflation and a potentially tax budgeting is weighing on the minds of many households planning their Christmas spending. Total retail sales in the UK increased by 2.3% year on year in September, against a growth of 2% in September 24 and the above the 12-month average growth of 2.1, according to the BDRC and the KPMG data.
So I'm going to pause you for 2 hours ago. The UK will be the second fastest growing G7 economy, says the IMF predicts.
Yeah, but that's a prediction.
Yeah. 14th of October, literally today, 2 hours ago, the UK is set to be the second fastest growing of the world's most advanced economies this year, according to a new projection from the International Monetary Fund. The one you're talking about, the Commerce Chamber, their paymasters are right-wing people. But the IMF also predicts the UK will face the highest rate of inflation in the G7 both this year and next, driven by raising energy and utility bills. Prices are forecast to rise by 3.4 this year and 2.5 in 2026. But the IMF says high inflation is likely to be temporary and should fall to 2% by the end of next year. The UK economical growth rate remains modest at 1.3 for this year and next, but they're outperforming the other G7. So everybody is suffering. Everybody's economically suffering. We are the second country behind America.
I don't want to be behind America. I want to be ahead of it.
No, we can't. We don't have the population. The G7 are 7 advanced economies: the US, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Canada, and Japan. But the group does not include fast-growing economies such as China and India. China and India have a population boost that allows them to leg peg over all of us. Let's be fair. They've got billions. Yeah, they're billies of fucking people.
Our food sales were up by 4.3% year on year. This was largely driven by inflation rather than volume growth. Non-food sales growth showed a 0.7% against the growth of the 1.7 last September, making it below the 12-month average growth of 0.9.
Admittedly,
food sales have increased by 1%.
Yes. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
It was 3.4, which was below the 12-month average growth of 1.8. The future of many large anchor stores and thousands of jobs remain in jeopardy while the Treasury keeps a risk of a new business rates surtax on the table. Mr. Dickinson said by exempting those shops when the budget announcements are made, the Chancellor can reduce the inflation pressures hammering businesses and households alike.
What the Corporate Council is trying to say is they're trying to scare tactic, because the IMF has already said we are growing. And the Shadow Chancellor has also said we're growing. Do you understand what I'm saying? We've been contracting for years.
We've grown through major corporations or through local businesses?
The growth is across the entire country. So that's both. So that's why it's projected as a 1.3 growth. Now, this is important to mention because we've contracted multiple times. So we're probably only just recovering to what pre-COVID was. Do you know what I'm saying? And COVID fucking knocked the living shit out of us. It was a horrific mistake.
Everybody, what you want?
Yeah. The global outlook involving economics is dominated by the so far a mute response of the world's economies to the imposition of hefty tax on almost all imports into the US. A weakened dollar, question about the independence of the US Federal Reserve, and sky-high values of US tech companies. I think if America's economy comes down, we are fucked anyway, because America's economy, whenever it collapses, the rest of the developed world goes with it. There's very little that can happen to that. But so far, our economical growth is behind America's. America's only at 2%. They're not doing hugely fucking growing, Chris. They're 2% growth. We're 1.3. Canada's 1.2. Japan 1.1. France is 0.7. Jesus Christ. Germany 0.2. Fucking hell. That kind of puts it in perspective, doesn't it, Britain? When you think about this, Germany, the powerhouse of Europe, is at 0.2 growth. And we're looking at 1.3. And again, this is all coming into the recovery from COVID.
I honestly reckon we need to get back within the EU market.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it would not only benefit us, it would benefit the EU.
Oh, yeah. It would economically benefit everybody stably. And there is a business position to hold on that. Do you know what I'm saying? The EU are desperate to get any good deal with Britain. And that could be levied. You don't need to join the EU legal system. You could sit on the periphery. Allow the young to go backwards and forwards, to travel to Europe. Yeah? Free trade, free commerce, freedom of movement of European citizens, specifically European citizens. You don't need to say freedom of movement of migrants. You can stipend that. I'm certain the European unions would probably agree to that. You could shift the goalpost and say, look, we agree to free movement, again, but it must be from citizens. That way you solve the threat of migrants crossing borders.
It would probably encourage them to sort out the migrant issue as well.
Yeah, it would. Because if you can come 2/3 of the way to Europe, I'm certain the Europeans would do the other 1/3. Absolutely.
Become an EU citizen, uphold a job for a year, and then you can travel again freely to the UK if you wish.
Well, because then you're a citizen. There is great benefit because citizenships in Europe require background checks. They're not as scrutinous as ours, but they are background checks. So it will cut criminals crossing the border.
And then we could do our own checks.
Yeah, absolutely.
The system that the EU is currently putting in with biometrics and everything else, we could turn around and
I'm a bit sketchy about that because that requires fucking ID cards. Your lovely ID cards. The Europeans are talking about ID cards as well, Chris.
You do realize everyone's talking about ID
I know. It's fucking wrong. It's fucking wrong.
I honestly reckon if we end up folding to ID cards, everywhere else is going the same way.
Yeah. I think Britain needs to say fuck off. That is one of those things that needs a very swift and unquestionable middle finger to Farage and to everyone else. Not Farage. My apologies. I give Farage shit for other reasons, but not that.
Farage is the one that says he wants to ditch it.
He's a populist. He'll say whatever's popular. To Stemmer. Yeah, Stemmer, middle finger. That's what I think of your ID fucking thing. On that moment, I retract my statement to Nigel Farage. I know that's a rare moment. Tommy Robinson's refused to give phone pins to protect journalistic material. The far-right activist Tommy Robinson has said that he refused to give police his mobile phone pin when he was stopped at the entrance to the Channel Tunnel because it had journalistic material on it, a court has heard. Robinson, whose real name is...
have like a bunch of money in it with it.
Tommy Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxie Lennon, who's charged under the Terrorism Acts these days now, after allegedly failing to comply with the counter-terrorism powers in Folkestone in July 2024. He is on trial at Westminster Magistrate Court and has pleaded not guilty. A person who is detained under Section 7 of the Terrorism Act is legally obliged to provide a password on pins for electrical devices. If found guilty, he could be jailed up for 3 months and or receive £2,500 fine. Robinson's trial began on Monday and is expected to last 2 days. He is charged under his real name and is being referred to as Mr. Lennon in court. Before the hearing, the former English Defence League leader addressed his ex-followers in a video taken whilst en route to court. He said that the social media platform billionaire owner Elon Musk, the fucking Nazi Elon Musk, who has previously championed Mr. Lennon, has picked up the legal bill for the case against him, which Mr. Lennon described as a state persecution. No, it isn't. We hold you criminals fucking accountable. You're a criminal. You're a thug. You're a football fucking hooligan. Musk has not publicly confirmed. In court, the 42-year-old man sat in the docks wearing a navy waistcoat and tie. PC Michael Thorngood, a counter-terrorism officer with Kent Police, told the court that he was on duty policing vehicles travelling to France at the entrance to the Channel Tunnel near Folkestone on the 28th of July 2024. He described seeing a silver Bentley, an unusual car to come through, with a lone occupant, Mr. Lennon. PC Farmer, who was supervising the officer at the Channel Tunnel entrance that day, told the court that Mr. Lennon had said he was delivering a friend's extremely high-value Bentley Bentagard to Benidorm. Both he and PC Thorson told the court that they were suspicious of the account Mr. Lennon gave them. So they were being suspicious about this account, which they're legally allowed to do. He was travelling a fair distance with a vehicle that wasn't his, PC Thornengard said. He added that Mr. Lennon did not make eye contact with him during the exchange and has told them that he had not brought a ticket in advance, which the officer describes as unusual. Of course, if you're going to make a long-term journey, you buy the fucking ticket beforehand. Especially if you're bringing a fucking expensive motor.
Yeah.
PC Thorngard also described detaining Mr. Lennon under Section 7 of the Terrorism Act. He said Mr. Lennon started filming him and that the officer took away his mobile phone. He refused to provide the PIN number, saying that there was journalistic material in his phone, PC Thorngard said. Mr. Lennon's barrister, Alison Willison, KC, suggested the stop may have been discriminatory against his political beliefs. Prosecutor Joe Morris said that Mr. Lennon had used expletives at officers and had told them that his phone contained information about vulnerable girls. The process by which journalistic material would be protected was explained to him, Mr. Moran said. So he was told that this wasn't a reason that he had a legal right to prevent his phone giving over material. She told the court that the officers had also found a small bag in the Bentley counting 13 grand and 1,900 euros. He's transporting money. He's clearly collected money. My assessment of what he's doing here, he's collected money from all of his supporters, quietly to pay back bills of some of his incredibly right-wing European allies.
Potentially. For the fact that
That's money laundering.
Highly expensive.
And it's money laundering.
He's travelling about in a very expensive car to start off with, because it's a Bentley. Even the low-end ones are still quite expensive.
Of course they are.
With money in the boot, and then he says, I'm not giving my PIN due to journalistic stuff on his phone. Despite the fact the copper said journalistic stuff is protected. So
Yeah, it wouldn't be mentioned, but he still didn't surrender it. District Judge Sam Gozar said the defendant's address should not be published after his barrister said that there was credible threats against Mr. Lenin's life. He's a far-right Nazi thug. Yeah, I don't condone people using violence to get a point across, but there are some people who you can understand why violence is caused on them and their family, because of their views are so disgusting and so destructive to society. And again, I do not condone any violence against Tommy Robinson, but you understand why it happens.
he provokes that much.
He provokes that much of a reaction. He does. At the public gallery at the back of the court was packed with more than 30 of his supporters who had quoted from early morning. One was wearing a red mega, "Make England Great Again" baseball cap. Make England great again. The fuck? The trial continues. You got to remember, Stephen Lennon is a criminal. He has been convicted. He has gone to prison. He is probably going to prison again on these terror charges. He is a criminal. And yet he is championing entire horrific causes. And people like Nigel Farage and the current opposition leader of the Tories use him as a dog whistler.
What I don't get. Obviously, I know our phones are used for everything these days. But if you've got sensitive journalistic information,
don't bring it with you.
Have you got it on your phone?
Don't bring it with you.
Surely that'd be the sort of thing you'd stick on a USB stick or on your laptop.
Yeah, of course.
And put it
Of course.
in the lockup.
Of course. For safety. But he's not a journalist. He uses journalism to protect himself.
Oh, he's one of those.
Yeah. He's not a journalist. He's a bullshit artist and a criminal. Back to you, Chris. From the Express, of course.
Reeves boosting the wrong economy. No, I do like the name they give her though. Hapless Rachel Reeves sparks economic boom in completely the wrong country. I'm not surprised though with the amount of tax things she's doing. This will come as no surprise. This will come as a surprise to many, given her catastrophic handling of the UK economy across the country. Towns and cities are recently desolate as businesses close, jobs vanish, and shops get boarded up. There's a real sense of decline and decay. Things were bad under the Tories, but they've only got worse under Labour as Reeves' relentless tax raids.
Let's pause you there for a moment there. The frontline shops have been in mass decline across the country for the last 5 years because much of Britain is moving to online shopping. So I don't take this Express position very hard.
But the increase in tax...
Yeah, no, of course, absolutely. Of course, but
could have been that tipping point where some were holding on.
Yeah, no. You can hold that argument, but there is a genuine national decline across all shops across the UK, except the really big ones.
We know the online thing was a thing because these days, if you open a business, you haven't just got the physical department; you also got the online department.
Yeah, the digital department, absolutely.
You need the digital side. If you open a business, you need both sides. That's the only way you succeed in these times and days. Or even if you start physically to get growth and then move on to online to expand further, that's should be part of your business plan anyway. Growth stalled the moment she and Sir Keir Starmer warned of difficult decisions in last year's budget. Everyone knew that was a code for higher taxes, and they were right. We got 40 billion in new levies last year, and we're heading for another 30 billion this November. Her 25 billion hike in employers' national insurance has wrecked pubs, bars, restaurants, and shops by driving up costs. Rather than booming, too many towns look like they are gone bust. But one city is blooming thanks to Reeves. You'd think she'd be shouting about it since she's so desperate for good news. Yet she would rather we didn't know, because that flourishing promises city isn't in Britain at all. It's in Italy. Milan is having a high old time right now as the rich flock to escape the Chancellor's constant tax raids, according to the Daily Telegraph. In Milan, property prices are soaring, private schools are bursting, and new hotels and serviced apartments are popping up everywhere. The streets lined with luxury cars, discreet wellness clubs, and expats snapping up trophy homes.
Let me be very, very clear. These are people who are non-dom society people anyway, because I know this point. They're non-domicile as it is. So their loss is no loss to us.
No.
They don't pay a great deal of tax as it is.
And many of them are either wealthy Brits or London-based foreign non-doms who, until a few months ago, were spending their money and paying their taxes, well, little taxes. Here, not anymore. Italy has rolled out the red carpet for them by charging a flat tax for foreigners of €200,000, 174,000 a year on all overseas income, regardless of how much they earn.
She wants white Europeans to move in. She's very racist, the Prime Minister of Italy.
Yeah.
So I can kind of understand why she's doing this.
It also feels from the declaring global assets for up to 15 years, these benefits can be extended to family for a modest fee. Reeves, by contrast, is dragging non-doms into Britain's inheritance tax net, charging 40% not only on UK assets but worldwide wealth. Many face bills running into hundreds of millions of pounds or even billions. Unsurprisingly, they are not keen to pay. Milan gain is London's loss. Italy isn't the only winner. Dubai is teeming with newly arrived Brits freeing from Labour's war on wealth. I've only got one thing to say to this. Ideally,
change the tax system.
It's obviously change the tax system so everyone pays a fair amount of tax.
Let me be very, very clear. The non-domiciles are disgusting. They get away with paying absolutely no fucking tax. The idea around non-domicile not paying tax needs to be done rid of. And if they want to flee the country, let them go, because they don't contribute to our society at the best of times. The money that they spend in the UK is minuscule comparative to what they own as assets.
I would only consider their input on spending within our economy if it's a case of the fact we need it to boost it just a little bit more until we can get a firmer grasp, and then we wouldn't care. Because at the moment, our economy is...
We are growing,
but at the moment, every penny counts.
Well, cool, yeah, I get that. But you need to reform the entire tax system. That's the fucking problem. Because what happens is when Labour puts all these taxes together, what happens? Let's be hypothetical. Roll on 4 years and a new popular and in many ways charismatic Tory leader takes over from Kenny Bennock, does the unthinkable and wins another election. All they're going to do is give these people who have had these tax exempt. They won't remove the taxes. They'll just exempt their mates. And that's our problem.
Yes.
So the Labour make new laws, new tax laws, and the Tories give their mates exempts for it.
This is what pisses me off. Why on earth should people be exempt from paying tax?
Because that's the way that they operate, Chris. That's how the corporate world operates.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to change. Corporations and the mega rich need to pay a baseline tax every year.
Obviously, at the moment, the reason they are dodging the tax is because of the fact
it's legal. It's legal for them to do so.
Yeah, and not just legal, but also the tax they would have to pay. It's a stupid amountly high.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Let me be very defensive to some of the hardworking, actual patriotic British billionaires. We do have them. That they would probably pay a 30 or 40% tax if it was a flat rate. That's all you pay for the year.
Yeah, I could guarantee you, turn around and go to any corporation, billionaire or whatever, turn around and go, you're only going to pay this much tax throughout the course of the year. Boom, you're done. There's no extra charges, nothing, bear in mind, there's no loopholes you can't get out of it or anything else. I could guarantee you.
There'll be a whole section of them because Britain is still a very well-loved country.
I can guarantee you most people will actually say, hang on, we won't have any sneaky charges. the only time we'll be done is if we fail to stop paying. But then if we fail to stop paying, it affects our business. We lose a whole lot more than just paying the tax. So in fact, if we start dodging tax when every other company is paying for it, it'll either cause a cascade effect, which people will just turn around and go local and won't do big corporations, which a new big corporation will be built anyway over years and become a locally based one. So,
like I said, the reality is you have to fix the income tax system entirely. It has to be rooted up and repaired from the ground upwards. The fucking roots need to be dragged out. And non-domiciles and everybody who has a right or a tax evasion, you need a 2/3 majority vote in Parliament that locks the tax system from being fiddled with by other parties and any form of corruption. It stops the billionaires from taking the fucking piss, because they have been continuously, decade after decade after fucking decade.
And that's where when you do it, you then turn around and make lobbyism illegal.
Lobbyism, that's something me and Chris have never had a problem with. Lobbyism is vile. It is a disgusting backroom politics. It should be outlawed on its entirety.
And make it so that I don't give a shit. If we turn around and done that and lobbyism is illegal and you get caught being bought out by lobbyists for whatever reason, you're straight to jail. There's no bailout. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You go straight to jail, you serve your time, you come back out and your business is gone.
Well, no, not just your business is gone. You're banned from ever being involved in politics again. Yeah. You have a lifetime ban against politics because you need to be harsh on these lobbyists and their corporate allies. You need to start severing the connection between corporate and politics so that the politicians who get elected in a liberal democracy for the people, in the name of the people, by the will of people, and people are not speaking like that. So, back to what you're doing, Chris.
But literally, it's just, no, I'm getting sick of people avoiding tax.
Especially
seeing this fact, if us people that are on a lower income, we avoid tax, we get chucked in jail.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't. You get fined out the wazoo. You have to pay back all the money and everything, and you can't dodge it.
You cannot face jail time though. So if you can't afford,
I don't think it's lawful to jail people for tax evasion these days. A small tax evasion.
But still, you'd literally fuck yourself up financially for God knows how long.
Yeah, if it's not your first offence, the maximum penalty for tax evasion is 7 years or an unlimited fine. They tend to avoid prison custodials because if you're tax evading, you're doing it with a lot of money. Do you know what I'm saying? Me, you, and Chris, we don't tend to tax evade. Because it's very difficult. Our wages pay our taxes almost immediately as Britons, which is
straight of our fucking earth.
Yeah, it's really difficult for an average Briton to tax evade.
Even then, it's only usually fucking council tax. That'll be one thing I'll fucking abolish.
Yeah. You have to fix the entire tax system and then have a central pot that pays out all the councils, like we did before Margaret Thatcher and her ilk decided to start tearing through Britain's failed economical systems and shutting down our industries. We should have evolved the industries, not shut them down. And this is where we went wrong as a country. Thatcherism was a cancer on this island. Anyway, Chris, carry on, mate. Sorry, my apologies.
And that's literally it. I'm getting fed up with the lovely high rollers avoiding fucking tax.
Yeah, completely.
And I believe you got another point.
I do indeed. What am I going to pick as the last topic? Let's go with the trains. Most of Great Britain's major rail operators are back in public hands. This is good news, Britain. We finished with some good news. Is it working? Explore the Guardian's tracker to see which operations are nationalised and its services are improved under public ownership. The majority of Great Britain's major rail operators are now in public ownership as Labour government has continued its efforts to make the railway more reliable, affordable and accessible. The nationalisation of the Great Anglican on the 12th of October represents the 9th major passenger service to be brought back into public ownership, leaving 7 to go before the government deadline of completing every operator by 2027. So we're taking back the trains. Labour's already doing that. Bit by bit.
Hey, Labour, you're actually doing something right.
Yeah, no, you are. We've got to give credit to this. Yeah. The rollout, which is resulting in the operators being nationalised roughly every 3 months, is gradually bringing an end to the privatisation system that critically argued has been overly fragmented and focused on profit to the detrimental of passengers' experience and safety. Several operators were already under public ownership by the time Labour was elected in 2024, having been nationalised by the Conservative over financial woes and poor performance. Remember when the Tories start screaming about this, you fuckers did most of this beforehand. Meanwhile, Transport for Wales and Scottish Rail were each nationalised by the Welsh and Scottish devolved governments in 2021 and 2022 respectively. However, under the current Transport Secretary, Hilda Alexander, the Department for Transport has accelerated the pace of nationalisation, bringing 3 operators onto the public books since May: South Wales Railway, C2C and Great Anglica. The nationalisation came ahead of the establishment of the new state-controlled company called Great British Railways, expected next year, which will manage rail infrastructure and services. It has been described by DFT, as in Department of Transport, as a single direct mind for bringing tracks and trains together, putting passengers and customers first, and rebuilding trust in the railway.
Oh, bloody time.
Labour, well done. We do not credit you often. Well fucking done. This is one of those shiny moments where you've actually got something fucking right. Because all of our public assets that have been sold off have been a fucking disaster. Our water, our power, our rail. Now that rail's done, that's done and dusted. Yeah? 2027 is done and dusted. You Tories can't resell that. You can't rehash that conversation. It's dead in the water. Let us be fair. And if this improves rail transportation and comfort and ability for Britons to get around for work, this could be a driving factor in lowering wages and increasing work, because it'll increase work mobility.
Yeah.
It will soon manage most of the public-owned operators in Great Britain, combining them with Network Rail, which owns the tracks, signals and big stations. However, Great Britain Trains will remain privately owned. Industry's insiders have expressed caution or optimism about Labour's plans, highlighting the potential for Great British Rails to achieve more coordination and in turn greater efficiency. However, experts have also warned that nationalisation alone may not be enough to fix all of Britain's problems with rail, given the ballooning costs. Yes, as me and Chris have said in a podcast long time, we need to bring in some Japanese experts and get them to restructure the British rail system. We set aside money. We say to the Japanese companies, come and fix our rail system. We will pay you to fix it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just bring in the experts. Bring in the experts, because the Japanese rail system
is unfucking believable.
Yeah, drivers get fired for being a certain minutes late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable system.
They get not disciplined or anything else. Fired. Yeah. Just the fact that they believe punctuality is fucking key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, they will throw people trying to board a train whilst it's about to depart out the way. Inspectors will do that because you're not allowed to board while the train's moving. Imagine that in Britain. That'll piss everyone off. Trains have been stopped by people trying to force themselves onto one of them. You see, delays are a massive problem. You need to bring, in my opinion, Japanese specialists from one of the world's best train systems into the UK to fix our rail system. Once they've fixed it, you pay them handsomely to do the job, and then Britain reaps the benefit as a national company.
Treat it as a business transaction. We need improvement. You're the experts. You're willing to come do this if we pay you X amount.
Absolutely.
They'll come in. They'll have a fucking dump probably within a couple of months, and then fuck off again.
Several of these lines have experienced improvement in train punctuality, reductions in cancellations, but the performance of others have worsened over the past year. These are the simple realities because they lack the centralised infrastructure to perform this on all fronts. But most of the major train lines are improving at a slow pace. Slow improvement is better than no improvement. We have turned the corner of trains are always fucking late, trains are all fucking expensive.
So now trains are
improving from late and getting less expensive.
Improving on timekeeping and becoming more affordable.
Absolutely.
We're heading in the right direction.
No, definitely. Yeah. Now we just need to take the train liners off, because I think the idea of leaving them as in private company hands is also wrong. I think the entire works need to be nationalised. Not just the lines, but the trains themselves and the train operators. The whole fucking thing. Lock, stock and barrel. Because
that's probably what the Japanese expert was saying. If you've nationalised it, you need to nationalise it all.
Yeah. Just swallow the whole system. Lock, stock and barrel. And again, change for what was owned by British people, the trains themselves, for what their losses to their gains are. So if you've got a huge black hole but you're not telling your customers, that stacks against your company's value. And we need to do that to all once previous owned companies. But unfortunately, we've come to an end because I don't like us running over an hour, and we've damn well.
My quick lovely one.
Yeah, go on. Yeah. Go on.
Labour MPs warn government digital ID scheme will unnecessarily cost support.
Oh, it's going to murder Labour if they push it through.
Yeah. The government risks losing support over its popular proposals for digital IDs, Labour MPs have said, as they raise concerns about the impact on civil liberties and the cost. Nadie Whittam, Richard Burgon, Charlotte Nichols, and Stella Cici, if I murdered his names, I do apologise, all questioned how necessary the IDs were and whether the government could spend the money better. Yes, they fucking could. Technology Security Secretary Liz Kendall said the digital IDs would only be mandatory for employers to see a right-to-work checks as government bids to clamp down on illegal working. I've already, on the last video, already suggested a way to do that, and it is literally based upon a system which we already have.
Yeah.
And it's literally photo ID on your national insurance card.
I don't think we need to do that. I genuinely don't. I think we need to move away from digital IDs to avoid digital theft in its entirety.
Yeah. Right to work as the government bids to clamp down on illegal working. However, Ms. Kendall added, for those who wanted to, it could improve access to public services. Meanwhile, individuals would not face sanctions, only employers and the police would never demand to see IDs, Ms. Kendall said. She said the government has learned from countries such as Estonia and Denmark who have used IDs already and allowed people to tell their story once when dealing with the public services. A consultation will begin before the end of the year. MPs heard, as they were told, any system would be built in-house. Ms. Kendall said, when you look across other countries and what they are doing, it really has made the government fit around people rather than people fit into government and different services, and I think it's a huge benefit. No. However, Ms. Woodcombe, Nottingham East, warned the government risked burning through political capital. She said, I don't know how many doors I've knocked on in my 12 years as a Labour member, but I do know that not a single person has ever told me that they really need to improve their lives, their community, this country. This country is mandating digital ID. It won't tackle illegal working. It undermines civil liberties and diverse among the public, and it won't make any difference to people's lives. So I asked the Secretary of State, why are we doing it? Why are we burning political capital and public money on this instead of focusing on issues that really are impacting our constituents? I worry that this is yet another huge mistake. Her party colleague, Mr. Burden, Leeds East, said, given the serious threats that digital ID poses to civil liberties, our data security, and a risk of data being handed over to the US tech giants, I'm firmly opposed to digital ID. There is already people within his own fucking party.
He's not going to pass. This is why I say when it comes to the vote, he's going to lose it, and it's going to be so damaging that he's going to have to go. With the digital ID could kill Stemmer as a prime minister.
However, it isn't also a really big waste of money and shouldn't be the government be instead focusing on what's that number one priority for people across the country, which is tackling the cost of living crisis, and wouldn't make the money from this better be pushed into that while safeguarding civil liberties. Those MPs have got it right. You should be improving our living and safeguarding our civil liberties. I don't give a shit, Stammer. You can go stick your authoritarian bloody control up your ass, because we've already proven several times by several sources, several different bloody million times, your main thing of it will stop illegal working. No, it won't. I've already suggested an idea that will help the aid of reducing the amount of illegal working, because of the fact people need national insurance numbers obtained illegally or whatever to actually do that, and stick a photo ID on it. With, I know the driving license has a hologram or something that can't be replicated, so you can't produce fakes of it. Do the same on the national insurance card as well. So I believe it's the same technology on passports as well.
I mean, I think it will kill Stemmer. Honestly, I think he should carry on. I'm gonna be a brutal bastard about this. He should carry on because it'll sack them, that useless fucking wet flannel, and we might get actually competent Labour leaders for the next 3 years. Because we've got them for 3 years. There's nothing that the Farage and the right can say. We've got a Labour government for the next 3 years. And they can turn it round.
Can the king step in and get a...
No. Well, yeah, yes, technically.
Yeah.
But the political crisis that would cause would be unbelievable. Could you imagine the right wing jumping on that? Oh, the king wants rid of this Labour government. It would cause all kinds of fucking problems.
I said there is a way to do it, but that would cause more harm than good.
Yeah, it would absolutely cause more harm than good. I think the Labour MPs, I think what will happen is Stemmer's going to push this to a vote. The MPs are going to say no. And Stemmer's going to learn that his rope towards his premiership is dead. And then he'll have to go. He's going to go within his first year, I think.
I reckon when he puts it to vote, they'll all say no, and then there'll be a second vote to remove Stemmer from
absolutely. I think he's going to push this too far. Anyway, this is a good ending to our podcast for today. As always, I'm John, Sean, or Yasha. Depends on who you're asking.
I'm Chris. Have a smashing day.
And this is your voice, your nation, blue collar workers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for staying if you got to the end.